Yeah.
Was it in the Congo this week where it was discovered that the CIA was in fact forming a coup against the president?
What?
Banana massacre?
3 Americans were caught.
CIA?
Yeah.
Tax-paid employees?
My taxes?
They're
in the Congo?
It's well documented of countless coups that the CIA has done throughout the entire world.
Yeah.
I'll give one example. I think it was Guatemala. They had this president who was basically giving the land back to the people. Big Fruit didn't like that in America because a lot of politicians had stake within the big fruit companies. They basically formed a coup. This is like 100% proven. And they built a militia army and they basically got the president out, and the U.S. selected the president that they wanted.
What the heck?
And it was a complete dictator.
And sent 700 from the Colombian army in against the strikers, resulting in over 2,000 deaths.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. Quit eating bananas. At least the Chiquitas ones. That's crazy.
Dang, that's all we buy.
Really, at this point, is anything off limits to our government?
Depressed. 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 We're still sitting in a classroom doing nothing. When are we ever gonna learn that this isn't the method? This isn't the road to success. This is just nothing. Wasted 7 hours. I've wasted every single day going here and I haven't got anything out of it.
Why are all these homes in DC suddenly for sale? It's like all these homes just went up for sale overnight. Why is everyone selling their home? Huh, it says here that everyone in DC is Googling criminal defense lawyer. Why are they doing that? According to Google, in Washington, DC, the search for lawyer has shot up over 400%. Is this like parking tickets or something? Or wait a minute, it says right here that some of the top searches have been wipe hard drive offshore bank. Is that like they have to like shut down a lemonade stand or something, or what's going on? Someone significantly smarter than me is going to have to come in here and explain. I can't put these things together, but I know there's someone out there that can help me piece this puzzle together and solve this like Scooby-Doo.
Remember when Diddy said he would show the world Ellen's tape? Check this out, y'all.
Don't tell these people how far back we go.
I know, but I wear T-shirts. I don't know what that means. Anyway, all right, let's...
I mean...
You roll that.
Okay,
all right.
I can hesitate to it. The joke didn't work.
No, it's okay.
I don't want no problem.
No, it's okay.
Hey, so, cheers.
That guy heard everything.
Ellen, I heard you were sick, and look what I got you. Your boy. So whenever you get sick, you can have this.
Thank you so much. That's sweet. I probably won't wear it, but Portia would.
In my opinion, I think Ellen was far more involved with Diddy than anybody knows. I mean, why do you think she left the United States of America? I don't think it was because who got elected. I think she's running from something. But what do I know? As always, thank you for watching. Stay weird.
Hey, man, that's my gun, man. Give my pistol back, bro. Don't do me like that, dog. Hey, come on, bro. Bro, come on, man. Don't do me like that, dog. Hey, y'all don't do me like that, bro. Hey, come on, dog. Hey, bro. Hey, don't do me like that, bro. Hey,
Just let
hey,
it
that's
go.
wrong, bro. Nah.
Yeah, that dude died. They killed him.
Can you briefly describe the law that outlaws humans from interacting with wild dolphins?
The law you're referring to is the Marine Mammal Protection Act, MMPA.
So does this law specifically state that humans cannot interact or communicate with the dolphins?
Yes, the Marine Mammal Protection Act does essentially make it illegal to interact or communicate with wild dolphins in a way that might disrupt their natural behavior.
Is there any other animal that the government has specifically put restrictions on communication with?
No. The Marine Mammal Protection Act is fairly unique in its restrictions on interaction with wild animals, specifically marine mammals like dolphins, whales, and seals. While other animals are protected under different laws, such as endangered species protections, there aren't any other species where the government has put specific restrictions on communication or interaction in the same way. It seems like the government specifically singled out dolphins and marine mammals due to their unique cognitive abilities and the potential for unpredictable consequences if humans were to establish deeper, possibly telepathic forms of communication.
Was this communication between humans and wild dolphins restricted before or after the government and NASA did studies on communications between humans and wild dolphins?
MMPA was passed in 1972, which was after the period of intense research into dolphin communication conducted by both government entities and NASA, particularly in the 1960s and early 1970s. During that time, there were significant studies, including those led by John C. Lilly, who received funding from NASA for his research on dolphin intelligence and potential communication. If they had access to a kind of universal consciousness or could communicate with entities outside of the human experience, it would make sense that the government would want to restrict human contact with them, especially if they felt that dolphin communication could be a gateway to something far beyond human comprehension. It also seems strategically significant that the restrictions came around the same time the U.S. government was deeply involved in studies of consciousness, extraterrestrial intelligence, and even military applications of technology and biocommunication. If dolphins were acting as intermediaries, capable of tapping into non-human forms of intelligence, that could explain why the government would want to control access to them. And now, with the recent admissions about UFOs and USOs in the ocean, it feels like these revelations could be pieces of the same puzzle.
Yeah, when the government says we shouldn't be doing something, we should definitely be looking into it or be doing it. Don't you think it's a bit strange that out of all aquatic animals, they just singled out the dolphin?
Instead of waving the Mexican flag saying F ICE, why don't we wave the American flag and put, the board saying future doctor, future senator? I haven't seen a single protest at the Capitol. I haven't seen a single protest at the White House. Why are you stopping freeways where people are trying to get to work? They're going to get fired if they don't show up to work.
Blue collar
people.
Neighbors, our neighbors.
They're not. You're not going to put them on your side. You're stopping Asians. You're stopping Assyrians. You're stopping Mexicans. You're stopping white people. You're going to annoy them. They're not going to be on your side. Oh, that's the way we're trying to catch the government's attention. Catch the government's attention at the freaking state capitol. Go to Sacramento and do that shit.
Yeah, don't piss off the neighbors.
Don't piss off. Go to City Hall. Go do that in places that matter. It's just the whole thing, like, it's crazy. You're waving the Mexican flag in a country you don't want to go back to. Like, oh, proud to be Mexican. Then go back if you're so proud then. So by the way, I'm a dual citizen. I have property on both sides and I pay taxes on both countries.
Let's go, brother.
So just saying, I'm a real Mexican.
You a real Mexican.
I'm a real I'm not a wannabe, pocho from here. A matter of fact, I'll be in Mexico in 2 weeks. My brother just moved to Mexico. My dad lives in Mexico. My uncles live in Mexico. Like, I own property. I have employees in Mexico. Like, I'm really involved with Mexico. I'm not just here waving a flag, acting a fool in the middle of the fucking freeway.
The Truth Hidden in Movies, Part 4. The movie we're going to talk about today is a brand new Netflix movie by the name of They Clone Tyrone. The movie really messed my head up because it showed us a lot of what's going on in the world that our everyday people would turn a blind eye to. The cloning part of the movie was only scratching the surface of what was actually going on. There's things along the lines of mind control, human experimentation, even secret organizations putting carcinogenic chemicals in our everyday items. The movie gets hella deep, so I'm about to show y'all these clips and y'all let me know what y'all think about it in the comments. Subscribe to my YouTube for more content.
Yo, when I first seen this movie, this clip right here, like, I don't know, it was so random and just came out of nowhere. It made my stomach turn. I was like, oh my God, like, that was crazy. It was a crazy scene, I'm not gonna lie.
I know this motherfucker for years. I ain't never seen him laugh, not once.
Never seen you laugh.
The chicken.
Never seen you laugh. I ain't seen him laugh once.
It's the goddamn chicken. The powder. The powder in the chicken. Look, when I was in the trap house, there was some white powder right there. I thought it was cocaine. I took some of it. It wasn't cocaine. I started laughing. You break some, I shoot a nigga. Now we here. We eating this chicken. We all laughing. It's in fucking chicken.
Let's call it. They drug dealers too.
Oh, these devious motherfuckers. What you think it's doing to him?
I'm serious, okay? At this point, I'm using my gas. I bet this shit in everything.
Grape train.
I ain't been to church in a while. Something is up.
Vanilla missionary shit. This some sex dungeon mint chocolate chip bukkake shit. Y'all realize what they doing, right?
Experimenting on niggas. I was there.
Nigga, mind control. The chicken, the communion, the pipe cream. All the fuck with how we feel, what we do, what we think to control us.
Why? Do it better. They Clockwork Orange niggas. We their target audience. We got to go.
Yeah, we gotta get the fuck up out of here. Nigga, you ain't the only one in here. There's other motherfuckers out there who need our help. We gotta tell somebody. We gotta, blow the lid off this shit.
Look at me, Bartan. This ain't no cool hand Johnny from the Boulevard type shit. This is Major League. It's Uncle motherfucker Sam. Get the fuck out of here. We got to.
We gotta help these people.
See, man, they put it in movies and they make it seem less believable by putting it in these films, and people are like, they brush it off their shoulder. But it's kind of smart if you think about it. Like, think about all these movies that were made where they're literally putting it in our face. It makes it less believable when you see it in a cartoon or a movie.
Guys, what is going on with this? So we have an Egyptian pharaoh and pyramid, and then we have the Grand Canyon. And I want you to see what I'm seeing. Take a look so you can understand the internet's newest conspiracy theory. So I'm going to try to explain to you why people think this is legit. And it all starts from an article back in 1909 where an archaeologist found a hidden city and a ton of Egyptian artifacts here in the Grand Canyon. So some people thought that was a hoax, but then the hieroglyphics are actually pretty similar between the two, Native American and Egyptian. Like, some of the characters were exactly the same. And some people just don't believe that the Grand Canyon could just appear naturally, that man had to be involved to create something so majestic. There's apparently a whole group of people that believe the US government is hiding a whole lot of stuff in the Grand Canyon from us. Supposedly they're hiding evidence and artifacts and a whole ancient civilization, and that our government doesn't want to open any of these mummy shells because they don't want us to be a cursed region. I don't know. Do y'all think it's an Egyptian shrine? You tell me what you think, because my theory, I think someone in an MLM came up with this because it looks like another pyramid scheme.
And they tell you the truth, like always.
The alien ambassador's already here.
Whoa.
Not her. Him.
Hey, what's up, dude? You're an alien? All famous people are aliens. I'm not. I meant like really famous people.
It's just so obvious. I'll show you more in a second. But really quick, let me ask you this. Why is every Super Bowl, every Olympics, and any other main event always consumed by aliens? And of course, they're showing me mantis aliens. Teen girl abducted by praying mantis aliens. And this right here was the first alien commercial for this Super Bowl. Look at his hand. Why would he do that? It's not rocket science, y'all. They're saying that all the famous people are alien because they're not of this earthly plane, but of this outer dimension. And you know, these white aliens are supposed to be the good aliens out of all the other aliens that help humanity. Kind of like, you know, when those fallen angels came down to help humanity. And white trying to appear pure because, you know, Satan masquerades as an angel of light. Remember, like, Kendrick was surrounded by the people in white the entire time and they were the only ones left standing? Not everyone that looks human is human, and there's a great delusion coming, and they're straight up telling you. Remember Lil Wayne's I Am Not a Human? And the worship of these fallen angels continues. Nah, I'm just being stupid.
This is the most mysterious book in the world, and it's the subject of many academic theories and conspiracies. This is the Voynich manuscript, and what makes it so special is that nobody can read it. It contains nearly 250 pages filled with fantastical drawings, alongside an unknown language that nobody has been able to decode. The manuscript is divided into sections, one of which is a botanical section, but the images are of plants that do not exist, or that combine elements from multiple plants. Another section shows women who appear to be bathing in an unidentified green liquid and interacting with tube-like structures. Another section includes astrological and cosmological images, and another section is believed to contain recipes. Carbon dating revealed that the paper is from between 1404 and 1438, but other than that, nobody knows when or where it came from or by whom it was written. For hundreds of years, it has disappeared and reappeared throughout history, until it was discovered, or rather rediscovered, by rare books dealer Wilfred Voynich in 1912. It has baffled academics and amateur codebreakers alike for hundreds of years, and almost no progress has been made. No human or computer has been able to solve it or find its true origins. There have been multiple claims that someone's deciphered it, but no one has been able to prove it. Theories about what the Voynich manuscript is include a women's health manual, an alien text, a hoax, a religious text, and just about any other theory you could possibly come up with. But for now, its bizarre imagery and mystical origins remain a mystery.
They were really fucking around, and now we are finding out that prior to the Trump administration and Elon Musk and Doge, who's being very transparent in finding all the bullshit spending that's been going on, has just now found out that the U.S. government has sent $2.7 trillion in Medicare and Medicaid money overseas to people who were not eligible to receive it. That is 8% of our national debt sent to people overseas, non-Americans, non-citizens. And then they wanted to tell us that Medicare is going broke? How can it go broke or be broke when you have 2.7 trillion of it, but you sent it to non-Americans? Either that shit is hardcore money laundering, or someone else is stealing our taxpayer money. So let me know what you think about all this bullshit in the comments.
Dude, they're sending trillions out to other countries. That's crazy, bro. There's no reason why we shouldn't have free Medicare in America.
Okay, we got some breaking news. The FBI is saying that they actually believe that the New Orleans attack was part of a sleeper cell. They're saying that they think there's more people out there, and the FBI has issued a warning to Houston to be aware of everything that's going on around you. So they do believe these are sleeper cells. Apparently there was 3 other individuals that had placed some sort of homemade detonation devices around right before the New Orleans incident happened. So things are still unfolding. They still haven't figured out if it's linked to what just happened in front of Trump's hotel. There's not a whole lot of information out about that yet, but I will keep you guys posted as I hear more. Just Houston, be on the lookout. In fact, I feel like all of America needs to be on the lookout right now because something is going on. The FBI is even finally admitting it. There's sleeper cells here. Our border's been open for 4 freaking years, and I think we're in for a wild ride coming up to January 20th. So be on the lookout. Keep your heads on a swivel. I'll update you as soon as I hear more.
Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files.
Wow.
This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on. Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long.
Yeah.
If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust. Trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments from the truth that they are entitled to know. We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens.
Hell yeah.
That does not just serve, but one that enlightens. Trust through transparency, that begins now. Without further ado, we'd like to open it up for questions.
Do you think Beverly Hills was this was an area they built on purpose? Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that happens.
You're out in Hollywood, a lot of people come up missing.
To all the producers, the musicians, the designers, who was all out to Hollywood, who was all out to New York, chasing gold statues, literally signing a contract and selling our souls.
All lies will be exposed.
Then the real Hollywood came. They would come to us and they would tell us about vanity and losing your mind in Hollywood, and be careful. And they came back from Hollywood to try and expand us. And they sat us down and like, you ain't gonna believe what we saw.
So can a judge give you a life sentence just because he's in a bad mood? No, that's not exactly how that works. But he absolutely can ruin your life if he didn't have the cereal he wanted that morning. So there are federal guidelines for what is legal and illegal sentencing depending on the classification of the misdemeanor and or felony. So like there's a maximum sentence that they could give you for like here in the state of Oregon, a class C felony, it's 5 years. There's also general guidelines as to what they actually hand out, and it's not the max unless you really piss them off. Let's take my cases for example. When you're stealing a car, the maximum sentencing is 5 years for that, but what they generally give you is 13 months for each one. They don't have to go by that though. Fuck around and find out, dog. From my personal experience with going to court and getting burned, I always show up respectful, dressed well, and ready to handle whatever I need to handle and take the consequences of my actions. Because that judge has the keys to what's gonna happen for the next indeterminate amount of your life.
That's 100% true, man. Everybody's on their best behavior when it comes to going to court.
Did you hear about that volcano that's happening in Italy right now?
No.
Have you heard of Campe Freghe?
All the time.
It's sitting over this giant basin of magma. Supposedly the second most powerful supervolcano on Earth. This past week, there have been 2 major earthquakes from that mountain.
That's bad news.
But like, if this thing goes off, we're talking like half of Italy. Mount Vesuvius, which is also in Italy, they speculate that the magma, it's like connected. If Campe Flegre went off, Mount Vesuvius would go off at the same time too. They said it would be so intense and catastrophic that it would send the entire Earth into a prolonged 2 to 3 year winter.
Fart.
Like, National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology confirmed that the eruption is a present and near scenario.
Dude.
They said the global temperature would drop 2 degrees Celsius.
What if Mother Nature is curing herself?
You ever thought about humans are the virus?
If aliens wiped out, I'm gonna be so miffed that we've never been.
Or you'd be upset that a lot of Italian people died.
That too, obviously. Obviously.
That's just it.
Pull up your phone right now. Just Google
2025.
Number.
And go to images. Make sure you're on images.
Movie posters and shit.
What is? It's kind of like apocalyptic kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
the
Okay.
world enslaved by a virus.
Okay. Hold up. Now Google 2026.
Bugattis, trophies.
Glory in a way, like things are going good. Now Google 2027.
There's a storyline already set in motion.
This is how the Simpsons predict everything.
The return of Christ? That's what showed up.
Okay, hold up. Now go to 2028. End of the world. Devil, the devil and Jesus like arm wrestling and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, now go to 2029.
Fucking meteor?
A meteor hits Earth. Go to 2030. This is where it all wraps up.
Aliens? Future civilizations?
A utopia. Aliens come and like, it's just utopia.
Is that supposed to represent aliens or us going to heaven and the rest?
Couldn't tell you.
Understand that when you go into the Appalachian Mountains, you are entering into another realm. And there is a set of unspoken rules that you must follow. Rule number 1, if you hear something calling your name, right, you didn't. There is nothing there. And you should not respond. Do not say hello. Do not say, who is it? Just run away. Because something is trying to gain permission. And by you acknowledging it, you are allowing it to come after you. If you hear screams in the mountains, right? You didn't. And do not go towards the direction of the screams to try and help. Because once again, something is trying to lure you. If you see people, you don't. If you hear crying, you're not hearing it. Do not respond to this at all because you are giving permission to whatever is in those woods to come after you. Now, if you are to go camping in the Appalachian Mountains, right, you have to remember, at night, you must keep a fire going at all times. And it's not for warmth, it's not for cooking, it's to keep you safe. And if you are going to camp in a tent, make sure when you go into that tent, it is sealed up. There are no holes, there are no cracks. And if you hear any kind of screaming, yelling, or anyone calling your name, do not respond. Do not go to sleep. And if something wakes you up, stay alert, and once again, do not respond. Now, it's very important when you are walking through the Appalachian Mountains, if you come across a deer carcass, do not touch it, do not stare at it, walk away, ignore it, because this is something, once again, trying to lure you into the woods. Now, if it comes to the point that something is chasing you, and it gets you, and there is no escape, fight as hard as you can, whether it's a person, an animal. If it's something else though, and you know what I'm talking about, well, you just let it get you, right? Because at that point, there's nothing you can do. And there's an old saying, you go into the Appalachian Mountains with 2 bullets, right? You fire the first one at something that isn't a person, that isn't an animal. And if it doesn't run away, you know what to do.
Dang, so basically use the last one on yourself. That's actually crazy.
See, my surrogate mother was Viola Armstrong. She had a son named Neil.
Oh, really?
As you know, the story goes, he went down to Antarctica, had a heart attack, stroke combo, and came back. And then there was stuff on the internet. And I had to look at Buzz and ask him, Buzz, what happened down there, Bud? Buzz did say one thing, and it just stuck in my head. It's the way he said it. He just said, we thought out things we shouldn't. And if Buzz saw something, I don't know what it was, but it was enough to give the man a heart attack. So if there are beings down there, I would think these beings never planned on us. They've been there, they came in millions of years ago. They've been under ice for millions of years. I don't think they were expecting us.
Let me ask the thing about Buzz Aldrin, that there was this very cryptic tweet that came out during his stay down there. He said, "We have seen the faces of evil and we're all in danger." Right. And this is right before he had his heart attack. And I can tell you, logistically, to do a medical evacuation from the interior of Antarctica is very difficult and very expensive. So something must have majorly gone wrong.
To underscore the fact that when the C-130 crew had dropped them off, they disappeared. And then when they went to try to find them, there was nothing at the National Science Foundation camp at all. Nothing.
They were
moving.
gone.
They were totally gone. And when they did show up, they had been missing for a couple of weeks. And Brian S. and the C-130 flight crew were then sent back. And they were expecting that they would see this group of scientists out to meet their plane, doing this, yelling something. And he said they were lined up like birds on a wire. They were all kind of next to each other, and most of them had their heads down looking at their feet when the C-130 was pulling up. And that somebody had to go from the flight crew over to the scientists and direct them to get onto the plane. And they talked about how not one single scientist said one word. Most of them walked with their looking down at the ground. Brian said when they got them loaded up, he said to his flight chief, "What in the world? Where have they been?" And the flight chief said, "I don't know. We can't get a word out of them." And during the flight, Brian went and sat down next to one of the scientists, and he said he leaned over and touched the scientist's knee, and the man never looked up. And he said, "It was as if we were dealing with 12 or 15 people who had suffered post-traumatic shock syndrome, that they were unnaturally frozen in their position and no speaking, and that they all looked afraid." That one of the SEALs that I have talked to that is not in the video said that as they walked for a mile or 2 miles into these very strange created architectures, they reached a point where something started coming through the walls out into the air. At first, it would go in and out of visibility, and then they realized that their minds were being manipulated. And then when they could see it clearly, and it was coming in and out like a television signal in the air, it appeared to be covered with scales, like an armadillo, the surface of an armadillo. And he said, when you are face to face with something like that, and you are trained in military to kill, but you're dealing with something you've never seen, and it can go in and out of visibility, and you know that your mind is being taken over by something that you are fighting. He said that happened in one of those corridors, and that was 2012.
I love to hug and kiss you. Marry me and let me be your wife. Ooh. In every dream I caress you. And every night I pray the Lord will bless you.
I've seen some older clips that were similar to this, but I have never seen this clip. That's insane.
Full House is dirty, bro. They had this show on TV. This is why I stay away from Hollywood, bro. I stay away from Hollywood.
Derek's taking it pretty hard, huh? Well, I don't know about that, but his father sure is a mess. Well, I hope Michelle's feeling a little better. Oh, man, it's all my fault. Put so much pressure on her, she didn't know whether she was coming or going. When she started, she was just a happy-go-lucky kid. Then I got a hold of her, and I worked her, and I drilled her, and so there was nothing left but just an overworked, over-drilled little hunk of overworked, over-drilled.
Yeah, we heard about Bob Saget.
There are many clues that show just that. That the Great Wall of Tartaria was to keep the Chinese out. Just look at the maps of the old world. It makes much more sense when comparing Tartaria's borders against China. But it's far from the maps that provide us the clues to this. Just look at some of the positionings, whether it's the fort and the place where the wall would actually defend against people is all on the Chinese side, except for the sections that they have opened up to tourists and worked tirelessly to rewrite history. But try as hard as they might, they have a long way to go. But many truths are still hidden in plain sight, like this gentleman Marco Polo, who was famous for exploring the Chinese Silk Road and never talked about the Great Wall of China, ever. Strangely enough, when you go to Wikipedia here, you'll see Polo wearing a Tartar outfit print from the 18th century. Never mind that he died in 1300, but still. Interestingly, you see the little logo on the top left too. Maybe that's why he never talked about the Great Wall of China, or it was omitted. History is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon. A set of lies they agreed upon. But if you want to start digging up the truth, you can start right at the controller's official websites and research the mud flood and fall of Tartaria. Question everything, friends. Until next time. Just want to point out as well, you often see these shapes in these buildings that are now called churches, etc. But these shapes are not accidental. If you look into something called cymatics, you'll see that when sound is played through water, etc., or if you put like sand on a speaker and play it at different frequencies, it creates different shapes. And these are more often than not the shapes that it creates. Very weird.
I wonder if this was the place of healing at some point.
If you were the devil, how would you make women hate their role at home?
If I were the devil and I wanted to make women hate their role at home, I would start by changing the narrative. I'd take the beauty of sacrificing for your family, your husband, and your home and twist it into oppression. I'd make love feel like obligation and turn nurturing into servitude. I'd glorify everything outside the home and diminish everything within it. I'd make women believe that their value is only found in job titles, not in raising strong, righteous children. That fulfillment is only in chasing independence, not in building a legacy through family. I'd convince them that success means competing with men instead of embracing what makes them irreplaceable. I'd push materialism over meaning, self-interest over service, and convince them that being a wife and mother is settling, not succeeding. And once they reject the home, I'd make sure the world outside never truly fulfills them. I'd keep them chasing, comparing, and questioning why happiness always feels just out of reach.
This is why you need to be careful when the type of music you're listening to every day.
I've been in rooms at the top of the top, which albums are prayed over demonically. Music is prayed over demonically. That goes out to the world, goes out to the radio stations, goes out to the public. And when you see that stuff and know that stuff, it's frightening.
What do you mean by that, Shane, prayed over demonically?
So, rituals, ceremonies, it's a satanic music industry. That's majority of what it is.
Do you mean figuratively, or do you mean literally you've been in...
Literally, yes.
And
Not figuratively.
Can you share what those albums were? Were they your albums?
No, they weren't our albums, no. They were not Boyzone albums. So that's what I mean by not every music is that. But it was on the stepping stone to that. So you're going back to the 1993s into 2000s. And then if you look at what the music is today, the industry is today, for all your Sam Smiths to your Dojo Cats to your Beyoncés they are so demonic, it's unbelievable. And we can't, it's in front of us. It's something that we kind of go, oh, it's just music. But it really isn't.
How far would the U.S. government go in order to justify going to war with another country? Would they stage hijackings? Maybe terror attacks on their own soil or soil abroad? Would they kill innocent people? Hold fake funerals for people who they said had died but never existed in the first place? They wouldn't do that, would they? Operation Northwoods, a 1962 declassified document. This was prepared by the Joint Chiefs of Staff for the Secretary of Defense. Then it went on to JFK, who ultimately said, "Nuh-uh, we're not doing this," which is a good thing because the plan in here is absolutely insane. Let's take a look at it. Little background first. At the time, Fidel Castro was ruling Cuba. The U.S. didn't like that. They wanted to replace him with someone who aligned with U.S. interests. They tried assassinating him. They tried inciting a revolt within the country. It wasn't happening fast enough. So they decided, we got to go in with the military, but it has to be justified on the world stage and with our own U.S. people. So they came up with 9 tactics of, here's what we can do in order to justify it. By looking at these, even though they weren't approved, we can see that maybe we need to start to question things that have happened in the world. Maybe the past, present, and future. Can we believe what the government says actually happened, or was it all staged? Let's take a look at the 9 tactics because I think they're interesting. We're going to go into the details here because I like the details. The first one is super basic. It's basically, we're going to do exercises close to Cuba's coast, and we're going to send little whispers through the underground so that they think that a U.S. attack is imminent. So perhaps Cuba will be on the defensive and attack first. We'll maintain the posture that, oh no, these were just exercises, but we'll go in and be justified to use our military on their soil. The second one is a little bit more interesting. They plan an attack on their own Guantanamo base. They're going to use Cuban friendlies dressed in Cuban military uniforms so it looks real. They'll put a group outside of the gate, have them start a riot, put some of them inside the base so it looks like they're being attacked, blow up some ammunitions, blow up a U.S. plane. Actual damage will be done to the structures. Then they're going to pretend like they capture the bad guys. Again, these are Cuban friendlies. This is all fake. And the most interesting part of this one is they're going to sink one of the U.S. ships off the coast. Blame it on the Cubans, of course, and hold mock funerals for the people who died. There was no one on the ship. This is all fake. The third one involves using a drone ship off the coast of Havana or Santiago, so the civilians see what happens and believe it. Okay? The Cuban military is obviously going to be curious about this U.S. ship that's so close, so they're going to send out someone to check it out. When it gets close, they blow up the U.S. ship. That way it looks like this Cuban boat did it. But no, they didn't. Then they're going to stage rescue efforts to save the crew who might have survived the attack. Again, there was no one on the boat in the first place. The fourth tactic, this is where we see the first instance of them being willing to sacrifice innocent lives. So they're looking at a refugee boat that's going from Cuba to U.S. Blow it up. It can be real or simulated. They also say we could foster attempts on lives of Cuban refugees in the United States, even to the extent of wounding in instances to be widely publicized. You've seen already, and throughout this, that anything that happens, they're going to publicize this on the news so that people believe that the Cuban government is rash, irresponsible, they can't be trusted, they're dangerous. So the U.S. has a moral responsibility to go in and stop them. Number 5, capitalize on what Cuba is doing in other countries, publicize it, and then create more events that we do but blame it on Cuba, such as burning sugarcane fields, or perhaps a weapons shipment is found on the coast of one of these countries and we blame it on Cuba. This is the U.S. doing all of these things. How many times have we heard about weapons shipments that were intercepted by the U.S. military and blamed on another country? Was it actually, or was it us trying to justify military intervention in those countries? Will we ever know? I don't think so. Number 6. Here we see that the U.S. proposes building out a plane that looks like Cuban Air Force. The idea behind this one is to fly the fake Cuban military plane close to civilian airliners so they think that they're about to be hijacked or shot down by the Cuban military. Everyone on board will look out the window, see the Cuban plane, think that they're being attacked. Even the pilot is going to believe that they're about to be attacked. So they're going to come over on the intercom, maybe on FAA, and say, "We're being attacked. We need to make an emergency landing." It's the U.S. the whole time. Number 7 simply states that we need to have an ongoing campaign of apparent hijackings of civilian planes so people feel more fear. That's insane. But it leads us to number 8. I'm going to read direct from the document on this one. It is possible to create an incident which will demonstrate convincingly that a Cuban aircraft has attacked and shot down a chartered civilian airliner. How are they going to make it more dramatic? They're going to say that it was a group of college students who were going on holiday, and they outline exactly how they're going to do it. So there will be 2 planes. One's a drone. One actually has people on it. These people are going to be given aliases. So the names that are on this plane don't actually exist. The planes will take off at about the same time. Civilians will land safely, exit, disappear. Those people don't exist. The drone will keep going. When it gets over Cuban airspace, they'll send out a Mayday signal. At the same time as they do that, a radio signal will trigger the destruction of this plane. That one blows my mind. I mean, we can see how that would be used and publicized, and the US people and maybe even international audiences would start calling for war with Cuba. If they attacked and killed a group of college students who were just off on vacation, yeah, they seem insane, and maybe they should be taken down, right? Maybe. Number 9, the big finale. This one involves lying to the US service members. This one goes into a lot of detail, so take a read if you're interested. It's going to be an Air Force exercise off the coast of Cuba. 4 planes doing a routine exercise, but before they take off, they're going to be primed to believe what's about to happen. They'll say you need to carry ammunitions just in case Cuba attacks. The pilot at the end of the formation is in on the whole gig. At some point during the flight, he'll say he's being ambushed, and then he'll cut his signal of his plane so no one can see him or find him. He's going to land safely. He's fine. By the way, this guy has an alias. He doesn't actually exist. At the same time that the plane would have crashed, a submarine is going to pop up in the area and distribute plane parts. And these 3 pilots who were in the air actually believe that they just lost a brother in arms. So they land. This is what it says. The pilots returning to Homestead would have a true story as far as they knew. Search ships and aircraft could be dispatched and parts of aircraft found. So they're going to lie to their own military members. They lie to the public, they publicize everything, they hold fake funerals, they send lists of fake victims off to the news. It is absolutely insane the lengths with which they are willing to go and lie to the American people and the world. So thankfully this wasn't approved, but when we see this, doesn't it make you kind of question the world events that we've seen so far? What was staged? What was real? All of this is shocking to me. I mean, I kind of had thoughts. I am more conspiratorially minded, but only because shit like this exists and I can see that something is happening, that they're willing to lie to us to this degree. And maybe this plan wasn't approved because of the president that we had at the time. But if it had been a different president, would this have been approved? At any point in the past, present, or future, have things like this been enacted, sold to us on the TVs as being fact, justifying war with killing another group of people? What can we believe? So why should we pay attention to something like this? How does this information affect our daily life? Obviously, we live in super divided times. We see such tragic events happening on the news, on social media. There's press conferences by politicians that are telling us to feel a certain way about a certain group or a certain event. But what if those things were orchestrated to get us to feel a certain way? What if this division has been created? We're holding on so tight to these things that we perceive as facts, but what if they aren't facts? What if they aren't? I don't think that we can ever know if anything is with absolute certainty a fact. So what if we loosened up a little bit and we're open to the possibility that something may not be exactly as it seems or as we've been told? And maybe we won't trust blindly into the government.
What I always wondered is, why do they document this stuff and then leak it to the public? Kind of makes me think if just anybody can get their hands on this information, that it's kind of like it went nowhere, or it's just like, I don't know, made up almost.
My husband passed in March of this year. He and I studied in depth Afterlife journey. We, through research, developed particular devices. He made one for me to use specifically for him. And he gave this to me last Christmas before his death, and he died 3 months later. And he's just so prevalent here. I feel him. I feel him here. It's nice to be here. I thought you'd never call me.
On tonight's episode, we're investigating a house known to be a portal.
We've had men who investigated here thrown across the room. There were huge scratches down his leg. They were bloody. A picture was taken right here, and it is of the most horribly demonic face. This house was built on a portal. What the?
Is that you? Peter.
He said Peter?
He said Peter.
Who's the evil thing that came in here all
How is he doing that?
Look at this light. I'm gonna shit a brick. Can you move that again? Who's down here?
I'm so sorry.
Not Jack at the last second.
What is it?
Miller,
What are you doing with it?
handing it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You want one?
Oh, you want one?
I'll take one.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Would you like one, sir?
But I know somebody who will.
All right.
Thank you.
Would you like one?
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And he's not the hero we asked for, but he's the hero we got.
I don't talk to ugly people.
Ma'am, I need you to have a seat before we can land.
Well, then I guess this fucker's gonna stay in the sky. La la la. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I will sit where I want. I want to sit here.
You cannot sit there.
I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I'll do what I feel like. No. Give me. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe.
You know what's crazy is there will be people out there that'll think this is real.